I see it as a healthy way, but I feel like society's like often like, no, you just stay in your lane, you do your thing, you like block out everyone else, stop caring about what everyone else is doing. I don't know, I'm not on that opinion. You use the wording, if you don't mind me saying it,
overwhelmed.
Yeah. And this was getting a bit too much at that point. Yeah. Take us through what was happening.
As far as I'm concerned, Ram, you're dead to me. No, I'm kidding.
We can't even make comments to Ram anymore.
No, he won't see him.
I'm sure he'll still follow. Okay.
I have something, but it's like career ending.
Okay.
In terms of the sound check. So we'll have to cut it out, but it will make us laugh and it will get us in good spirits.
As long as we make sure we cut it out.
Yeah, because I couldn't do this before because I trust Ram and he's protected by contracts. He can't just leak content.
Yeah.
But this one...
He knows that, right?
Yeah.
All that content just gets leaked.
Okay. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And I don't know if I ever told you, but I... No. I told you.
I had to wait that one out. I was like, Sam, it's taking you this long to tell me this great story.
So that's a career render. We're gonna have to cut that one out.
Okay.
1,000 likes, I'll release the story.
I
gotta come clean.
I was caught off it. You sure? Yeah.
It's not my joke.
Okay.
I totally stole it off Instagram.
That's fantastic, though.
I really enjoyed that. And
you really caught me off guard because I was so confused.
Yeah. So yeah, just for the record, I'll just bleep those two.
Yeah.
Like that, and we'll leave the people guessing.
I wish I had a better reaction, but I was literally like, the fuck?
No, I was asked not to work there anymore because I got like family privilege. So I never really had to do any of the hard stuff. Like I chopped veg and stuff. I was so young that they told me just be a cashier.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I feel bad. I'll chop some shawarma. Shawarma.
Yeah.
I'll like cook some food, and I did all the stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was never asked to clean the toilets, and so some of the staff got jealous, and somebody was having a bad day, and then somebody told her to clean the toilets, and there was quite a visceral reaction. Some machines thrown on the floor. Wow. Yeah, I know. It got wild.
All because of you.
Yeah. And then she later apologized and came back to work. But it was just one of those where they were like, it's probably best that you don't, like to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's how I lost that job. I mean, again.
That was your first job?
First ever job, yeah.
Wow.
I went to my brother and I said, I really want to start racing go-karts, but I don't know where I can get the money from. And he goes, well, it's time to get a job. I was like, yep, great idea. How can I get a job? And he goes, go work for the family chippy. And I was like, I'm too scared to ask or whatever. And I'll never forget, my brother just went, suck it up.
Like, really?
Yeah, he just went like, you want to do something.
Wow, brothers.
Yeah, like he genuinely just straight up just said, dude, suck it up.
Suck it up.
Go beg for a job so you can have them. It was the best decision ever. I think I earned 50 quid a week. I worked Saturday, Sundays, flipping burgers. And that basically go-karting practice was about £30 for a session.
Perfect.
So I get like a little £20 to myself, but I could go practice once a week. And it started off my career. I went on job after job after job.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's wild.
I love that.
I think I was 13 or 14 then. But yeah, really.
You were earning well for 13, 14 year old.
Great.
Yeah.
Because, excuse me, after that, I had like the confidence, the cockiness, the arrogance to go and apply to work at John Lewis. After that, I worked for Co-op Bank.
Yeah.
Now, I was, I think, 16, looked real awkward in a suit.
Yeah.
I think it was my cousin's wedding, not his, but the suit I wore to his wedding. And I went to that job interview. This was the sweet spot. This is a really weird thing about confidence, is there is a point in time where you don't realize what's embarrassing. And I went to the interview. I'd Googled a bunch of tips on how to do group interviews. Everything was group interviews. 20 people in, you do that. And the advice I saw on forums was take leadership, take charge. Yeah. So here I am, I think 15, just about to turn 16, in a suit, black tie. And there is probably 15 or 20 of us sat in the reception area of the Cooperative Bank. It's in the Pyramid building, quite known in Manchester. just a big glass pyramid. And I sat there and I just kept thinking, like, take lead of the group, take lead of the group, take lead. So I stood up and I went, hey guys, where's everyone from? Like, what do you currently do as a job? And I was like pointing at people and they were answering, and I was like, it's really cool. I used to work at John Lewis, and then someone came in and went, right, who's here for the interview? And everyone looked at me and went, oh, we thought you were conducting the interview.
Oh, really? If you've made it this far, thank you so much for supporting and watching this show. Sam's got some great points in this episode, so please do carry on from this moment. But if you did enjoy, please don't forget to like, subscribe, do what you can do, and please comment on this episode as well with any comments you have about what questions you'd like in the future.
Because imagine this: everybody sat at reception and somebody just stands up. I didn't understand embarrassment or anything. Sure. I was just following advice to a T. That's all I was doing. So I just stood in the middle of this group and I was like, what do you do for a living? What do you do? And that carried through and I got that job. The reason why I'm telling you this, is because when I was 15, 16, I worked there 5 to 9 selling finance products. Yeah. I was earning about £900 a month. Imagine being 15 years old and having £900.
Absolute baller.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mate, I should have hung around you at that time, man.
No,
so what did you do with the money?
What did I do? I remember I bought a phone. It was like a Samsung Galaxy Ace. Okay. And I did that. I bought a go-kart for £1,500. Again, 16-year-old spending £1,500 is wild.
Absolutely mad.
It was when I learned that you can't withdraw all your money from the bank. Because I called this guy, and this is actually good life advice. If you're a kid, really get into a sport. Any sport, it will push you. Something that I had to do quite often because of go-karting was, be on the phone to people like, hey, I want to buy your go-kart. Yeah. Then you had to convince my dad to drive me up to Bolton, which is in North Manchester. We went to visit this go-kart, inspected it, and I had to organize to have a tow hitch installed in my dad's car. I had a job, I paid for it. Yeah. Then me and my friends, I had 2 other friends that were involved, my cousin and a friend. We went to get, we installed a tow hitch actually. We bought it from a place and then we installed it. This is a wild tangent, so I'm going to try and stop. But the person I bought a tow hitch from worked on the music video for You're Just a Teenage Dirtbag. He worked on that music video.
Who sings that?
Wheatus?
Yeah, Wheatus.
Wheatos. I don't know. So yeah, he saw it, we wanted to vlog it, so we had little GoPros, and he goes, oh, you guys are into filmmaking, here's what I used to do, here's the production company. He gave us a card. So he was involved. I don't know what he did, but he was involved. I still have that business card somewhere.
Did you ever call him?
No.
Oh, okay. But it was good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So got that installed. So all of these things led me to be very independent and organized. I still have emails from 2009 of me reaching out to businesses asking for sponsorship. It just forces you into that world. Yeah. Whatever sport is, whether it's football or anything.
How does that help you today?
The fact that sometimes you and I need to go into a room full of 50 to 100 people and we've never met anyone there, and you have to go up and approach those people. Something that's really beneficial actually in working in sales is that it teaches you that skill when you work in sales, but just that sort of thing.
Just that confidence
it doesn't matter if there's nothing embarrassing about it. I'll go up to you.
Yeah. If anything, it gives you energy now.
Yeah.
You mentioned something good, that every kid should get in some kind of sport, some kind of thing.
Passion.
On the sports side, when you were go-karting and doing that, were you competitive?
Not to begin with.
Okay.
I always wanted to be this insanely competitive person. So I started to imitate competitive behavior. Yeah. As I've grown older now, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you competitive in?
Things I care about. So I'm a big fan of sim racing, playing video games that simulate racing. And I've spent ages trying to work my way up the leaderboards for certain tracks around the world in the F1 game. There's other games as well. But a lot of stuff I don't mind if I'm not the best at. Do you feel because the competitive nature is something I find really interesting. Again, I don't think I grew up being very competitive or particularly competitive, but I grew this appetite. I don't know where it came from or how, where I don't just compete against myself. I compete plenty against myself, but I put little competitions against benchmarks against other people, other things going on, and I see it as a healthy way.
But I feel like society's like often like, no, you just stay in your lane, you do your thing, you like block out everyone else, stop caring about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not on that opinion.
I want to ask you something. This is, I don't know if you listen to the High Performance podcast with Jake Humphreys, but I'm a big fan. And the number one question they ask at the start of every episode is, what does high performance mean to you?
Right.
So I want to ask you that question. What does high performance mean to you?
Oh, that's such a tough question.
Really
Yeah.
question.
And I've heard that question before on the podcast. What does high performance mean to me? It means continuously reevaluating your benchmark.
Very good.
So knowing, I'm hoping this comes out coherently. So consistently, in whatever you're doing, you set a certain benchmark. It's continuously trying to upgrade that, up it a little bit. Let's take the gym as a really easy example. Upping that slightly every time, even when you don't want to. Like, you should consistently be improving that. Along with consistency, they're the best metrics for high performance, in my opinion. Yeah.
Where does that benchmark come from? Yourself or from what you see around you? Is it a sum of both?
It's a sum of both.
Okay.
Yeah, for me. So, yeah, it's the combination of knowing what I've been capable of in the past.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you just take external benchmarks, it can put you down and it can put it out of reach a bit, which just hinders any growth. So looking at other people's benchmarks, I don't know. I always use the gym just because it's numbers, right? It's so easy to measure. But looking at what other people do, they do that. This is where I've been previously. I know it's possible to get there with consistency and body types and so on. So I know what's possible, but I'm going to consistently beat what I've done and know that that's there. And I think it's important. Otherwise, we put ceilings on ourselves. We think, this is the maximum I can go. This is the maximum I can do in my life and so on. Yeah.
Of all the things in your life, what are you most competitive in? Everything. The follow-up question you're going to love. It's very juicy.
Yeah, this is a tough question because I am actually very competitive.
Oh, I feel that. I've known you 5 years.
I know, out of everything in my life, what am I most competitive about? I say certainly work and fitness.
Work and fitness. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where I think we draw the line at whether it's healthy competitiveness or toxic. What are you willing to give up to make sure you dominate in those areas? Right.
I'm willing to give up any luxury time I have or any luxuries I have.
But not your core vitals.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is it. So, for example, if it's to do with work, if I know that I need to put in an extra 10 hours a week to be training in something or learning a new subject, it's my plan for the next few months on something we're working on here. I would need an extra 10 hours to dedicate. I would look at what my time is externally. Do I have those hours? I wouldn't sacrifice the gym. I wouldn't sacrifice my own enjoyment time in the evening with my peers, but maybe there's scrolling time on Instagram. Right. Maybe there's stuff like that. They're the areas that I look at straight away and I say, okay, I need to scrap that out. So I don't know if that's a sacrifice or I'm answering your question, but certainly look at those areas. No. And in fitness, it's just like I have to put away any thoughts that want me to give up in that sense.
See, I don't think there's such a thing as like toxic competitiveness unless it's like blatantly obvious, but people often point to people like, I have to use a Formula 1 example here, but you can do the same with footballers. People point at like Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton as like, you know, they are people that I imagine give everything to be the best in the world. Lewis Hamilton talks about not drinking, not doing any drugs. Obviously, they're drug tested. He talks about being vegan, how it helps his focus.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that can limit his ability to perform at his best.
Sure.
Sort of similar situation with Max Verstappen. There's a famous joke of, do you know how much trauma it takes to be that talented?
Right.
Like, you know, what's happened, what's going on in his brain. And I think people yearn to be like that. People yearn to be the greatest, learn to be the number one, but they haven't done the cost benefit analysis in their head. To someone like Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, being the number one person, being the best in the world is rewarding enough as it is. Whereas I think to a large majority of people, they're willing to make the sacrifices to try and get there. But then maybe they get there and they're like, actually,
was it worth the sacrifice?
Yeah, I would have much rather have spent more time with a significant other. I would have much rather have invested in my family time. Mm-hmm. It's not worth that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I think that's where, perhaps Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's passions were so driven to being the best that outweighed the cost.
Yeah.
Or certainly they thought that outweighed the cost. Whereas to other people, you talk about F1 being, you're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
But perhaps you're not as passionate as them because you have other interests.
Oh, yeah.
You have a more balanced and varied process, whereas that to them is everything. I do completely agree. I see competition as two things. I feel certainly in the world we live in, and I'm not fresh on this thought that we're often raising kids or telling kids that it's not always about being number one. And I understand where that came from initially. That came from picking someone up when they're down. When they came third, fourth, fifth, picking them up. When they came second, picking them up, saying it will get better, but you've got to get back. But what we forgot to say is you've got to get back.
Yeah.
You've got to give it a shot in the first place. And you've got to yearn for first place.
Yeah.
And it almost became try your best. We've all been to the gym and had that session where we tried our best. We've had nothing. We've had no success. We've had nothing. But when you switch something and you yearn for, I need to improve on myself, everything changes.
I really thought you were going in a different direction. I was very nervous. I thought you were going down like we should be giving out participation trophies.
No, no.
I really thought you were going there. That's
no, but that's exactly it. Participation trophies killed it. But I understand where they came from. I understand the thought process behind that. And then, as we do with everything as humans, we go too far.
I don't know. I think that kind of originated from struggling, like too much love. Like struggling to see your kid in a bad place. I can't imagine. I don't have kids, but I can't imagine that's ever an easy thing to do. Having a child that's really upset. In fact, I weaponized that when I was a kid. I used to cry when I wanted stuff. It works all the time. Don't do it, kids. You'll regret it, and you'll regret it massively in your adult life. But I do think that was like, no, we want to pick them back up. But sometimes, it is. You do need to say like, didn't go your way today.
Yeah.
We didn't win, but let's pick yourself back up and go again.
Yeah. It's been. I look back at my things, and whatever it's been, like education, work, sport, whatever, those moments have been the most defining. Yeah. Like they literally are the most defining. And for someone to go, I'll be all right, just you did nothing wrong is, it was everyone else's fault. It was everyone else's fault but yours. It's just the easy way out. Yeah. And that's not healthy for you. Yeah.
So that's competition. It's quite a good discussion around competition. What else do you want to talk about today?
Yeah. So we're talking about a few things. Yeah. Everything's on my mind at the moment, man. I mean, there's so much on current stuff. But I guess I wanted to maybe touch a little bit on the business side. And where we are in the business and what we're doing. A bit of insight. This is a director's debrief. I think sometimes we're not maybe...
We've steered away a bit from that. But
as transparent as we want to be.
You want to be transparent?
A little bit, we ease in. Of really where we are at the moment. Obviously, if you don't mind me saying this, we had quite a deep conversation the other week about workload.
Let's talk about that.
And and how I've had plenty of conversations with you about the same thing. You came to me and raised your concerns about in a good way. I mean, it's all from good stuff happening. We've been hard at work bringing in new clients, building our infrastructure globally. All of this good stuff's happening. A team globally, it's genuinely happening. Everything we've been yearning for, almost so that I feel a bit of an imposter saying it because it doesn't feel real. But it's happening.
It's very much real.
It's the truth. And you came to me and said, look, it seems, you use the wording, if you don't mind me saying it,
overwhelmed.
And this was getting a bit too much at that point. Take us through what was happening.
It was an interesting thing. I feel the reason why I feel so comfortable talking about this is because I feel I'm in a really good place right now. I'm not saying it's something, this was a very recent conversation, 2 weeks ago maybe. I'm not saying you can cure this in 2 weeks, but I think I was just going through a bit of a phase, or, you know, through a bit of a lull. But yeah, I came to you, I said, I'm feeling really overwhelmed at the moment. I feel like I'm not in control of so many different things that are kind of coming into my domain. I think it did come from, funnily enough, like from the business's success. We have clients that are getting great results. Like, this all seems like a humble brag. Like, let's focus on what's important here. Clients were getting really good results, and I was really worried about that turning off, you know, just like someone turning off a tap. So I was like, I need to hold on to these good results. I need to make sure we continue.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in the span of a week or 2 weeks, we were having deep negotiations with about 4 clients in one go.
Yeah.
And I was just foreseeing that workload being added on to this existing, you know, quite already vast. We sort of, I think to myself, I downplay the size of our company quite often. I often just think, yeah, we're a small agency. We only have a couple of clients, you know, and all of that kind of flooding in. When I started to think about it, I was like, no, this client needs this doing, that needs that doing. I couldn't see the situation. And I didn't tell you this at the time, but I was going to every tool I had.
Yeah.
I was like, make a to-do list and write out all your thoughts, write out all of this. And it became too much for me. And I came to you, and this is what I'm very grateful to have you to talk to.
Can I just say that was literally one of the best things you've done.
Yeah.
Just being open, because it reminded me how, you know, I'm hoping instantly we were able to at least discuss it and get to the root. We didn't solve it in that short meeting, but we were able to get some root causes. Yeah. Yeah.
It was a very easy, you know, it's never an easy thing to bring something like that up, but it was relatively easy for me to sit down and chat to you about it. And then, it was the thing that I said I'm in a really good place right now. The thing that really helped me was trusting my gut a lot more. I always think to myself, and this is how I operate, and this is a huge benefit and a huge liability sometimes. The benefit of this is I'm incredibly process driven. I'm incredibly I need to see the method. I need to see everything in front of me on a document. I don't like having conversations with people without notes. I don't like the lack of structure. And that was really getting to me because things were starting to escalate really quickly. More clients, more work, more results, as I mentioned. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't track it. I couldn't log it.
Sure. And
the thing that really helped me was just deep breath and trust your instinct. It even came down to like speaking to Harvey about advice on how to manage the team. I was like, I need to mull this over before I speak. No, actually, trust your gut. You've been in management how many years now? Just say to him what you initially think and work off of that. And it's the same thing here. You know, we reeled off some of the work that I was doing that I couldn't necessarily keep on top of. We then hired somebody around that. It was just a case of trusting that verbal communication, just saying things. I worry about the podcast sometimes because I haven't planned what I'm going to say enough. But just trusting the words that are coming out of my mouth in real time, they're okay. They come from a backlog of experience, or they come from that. That's why I feel like I'm in a much better place right now.
Oh, wow. Didn't realize it was so much deeper than that. And that's really
doing
interesting.
a lot thinking about this.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things I think in startups. I mean, we call ourselves startups still, or I think we'll forever call ourselves a startup. But you know, we call ourselves that business, and we're developing. And I think there's a sense of pride that certain entrepreneurs keeps themselves. I certainly am victim of that many times, and we just feel like everyone else should have problems that they can come to us, but if we voice our problems, then that's just weakness, and that's defeat in the business, when in fact it's not. It's the whole point.
I think there's an element of needing to show strength. That doesn't mean not showing vulnerability, but like, you know, there are things that I need the team not to know. So if things are going badly, for example, we need to sort of scramble, unless we need the help of the team, which you can't be too big for your boots. You need to go and ask for help from your team if you need it. That's absolutely fine. But I think in order to be an effective leader, you do need to carry a certain amount of weight on your shoulders, but you can't always do that. There's times where you have to sort of let go. You have to approach somebody, whether it's somebody, you know, either above you or similar level of seniority, or just somebody. You have to let that out. You have to voice your concerns. But you also, need to maintain a sense of leadership. People look to you as a management team, and you kind of need to hold it together for that.
Yeah.
This, my particular example doesn't really hold true here. I just think you can't always be the manager who's like, this is a problem. This is on my mind. I can't handle this. I can't handle that. You need to show some level of strength.
Completely on that. Yeah, exactly. Those that say, "Oh, we need to be completely transparent about everything," it's not possible.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be fair. But I think the biggest thing there is, when you say you can't be that manager that says, "This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. I can't handle this." I think what the team, if that does come out, I don't think there's any issue as long as you're the leader that they would like to see, the one that comes out and says, and a bit related to our last conversation last week about, these are all my problems, but this is how I'm going to solve it. Being that problem solver rather than blaming, this is because X courier didn't turn up, this is because of them. I think that's what we need to show more of, maybe, that we had an issue and we solved it. And introducing the new team member next week to the rest of the team, I think we could show a slight essence of the issue that we did have, we together had, and letting the team know that that's why we solved that issue.
It's a good point.
And I think that will come from, firstly, them understanding why this person is here, why we brought them in so quickly, and to a position there. But also it shows that if they ever have the same issue, the management team, as they develop, that these things can be done.
Yes.
Things can be solved, so they never need to feel. That was just my thought process.
Yeah, I've mentioned this to so many people, but not to you, actually. There was one time where you and me were in a meeting, and we had a new starter with us, and we were doing a bit of a pitch. No, we were doing a pitch, not a bit. We were pitching to a client, and then at the end of the call, you looked to me and you went, "How was that?" I was like, "Yes, cool. I have some feedback for you, but let's wait for X to leave the room." And you went, "No, that's cool. Tell me now." And I gave you the feedback. That person left the room, and you went, "It's important that they see that it's important that they see me receive feedback." I've brought that up quite a lot. That was a very cool thing for you.
I think, exactly. This is it. And, we do, I think we're very much like that now. And if we ever fall off that habit, we need to be aware, but it is important.
Yeah.
And it's crucial, because if we can't take it, then we just become that toxic company where they feel that they could never give us any sort of feedback. Right. And then, honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
For them to know that, we let this down, or this project didn't work well. There's a way of going about it, of course, that still shows some level of respect. But if they don't, we're on our way to the end. Yeah.
Yeah. How close are you to the person that, when you're alone at work, how close are you? Let's say your fiance leaves town for a weekend. You're in the house by yourself. Dancing in your underwear. I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
How close How close, personality-wise, not clothing-wise, but personality-wise, are you to that person, to the person you are at work?
Oh, this is really good, because it was on my mind.
Was it?
Yeah. I actually, you probably may have seen the same reel as me. There's a reel going around where someone was talking about how they realized they were the business owners, and they realized the person they were at work was so far removed from the person they were at home.
Yeah.
That they had to change things because they were no longer happy, and they realized they were from such a privileged position because they do own the company.
Right.
That they could.
No, send me that reel.
To do that, and apparently that really impacted the culture of the company.
Wow.
It changed things overnight because they loved the person they were at home.
Yeah.
And they didn't like the person they were at work, but they thought they had to be the person at work because that's what made the company successful.
Yeah.
But he somehow managed to bring the two together, and I think I'm getting better. What I'm finding tough is that I can't always be as chilled out as I am at home.
Okay.
So I'm a very relaxed person at home. Very go with it. It doesn't mean I just sit around.
No,
but I take things more fun. Like, when I'm gardening, I really enjoy it. It's no longer a project that I must get done by X. It's like that. Don't being whoever I am at home, just enjoying stuff. It's much more chilled out, and I feel I'm bringing that into the WellP, but maybe I feel that the two can't go hand in hand. I struggle with that.
I don't think you could be the exact same person, but you can definitely get closer.
On a personality level, I definitely think I am getting to where I'd like to be. I am being my full self. How about you? And where's that question come from?
It came from a recent change in like my leadership methods and ways and mentality around it, because it also came from the back of that conversation, because I think a part of me feeling overwhelmed was because I was trying to be a leader that I'd been trained to be, but I wasn't necessarily listening to myself.
Okay.
Let me use an example. I was once asked when a new area manager took over O2, and I was a store manager. A new area manager took over, and he took me out for coffee, and he asked, "What kind of manager are you?" I said, "I like to manage from within. Like I like to stand in like I like to be with my team. I like to know what's going on in Jennifer's life, in Sean's life. These aren't real names, by the way.
Yeah,
but I like to know what's going on in their lives. I like to work with them, and I like to work within." And that was the wrong answer. He was very disappointed to hear that.
Okay.
And what he was looking for was like a ruthless manager.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who comes in, takes no bullshit, just goes, da, da, da.
This is it.
You underperformed, you're out. You're this, do that, you do that. And over the years, I think that does yield good results. So I've just kind of followed on that trajectory.
Yeah.
But what that does is it stops me from reacting in a natural way to certain scenarios.
Uh-huh.
Somebody turns up late, somebody submits work late. It makes me process this of like, how does the best manager in your imagination react to it? Okay, lock it in and go and project that reaction. But it wasn't working out for me. And this is, again, in the last 2 weeks or so, I've just felt myself ease back into the manager that was that guy in that coffee shop that goes, I like to manage within.
Yeah.
I like to understand people. I like to, just sort of relax back into me as a manager rather than what I think a good manager is. Trusting my opinion and gut in real time, just speaking in real time, not having to process, not going through this filter of what should I be saying, what should I be doing, blah.
Yeah.
Just doing it, just going for it.
That's so interesting. I have to agree with you, and I think you're right in saying there is a place for the ruthless manager or leader. It's just not here. Yeah. And what I mean by that is because if you were walking into a new big John Lewis store where you didn't know anyone, it could actually be very difficult for you to be the manager from within, lead from within. It's very difficult. How do you get to know everyone? How do you make sure that they're not having you on? How do you make sure that, you've got control of all things and this is working like a well-oiled machine? Yeah. Whereas here at WellPR, I feel we're much, we're a different kind of structure. Yeah. We've also employed everyone here. Yeah. We've chosen everyone. Yeah. So if there's an issue, we go to it. It's not, this was because you were employed by that person, I can't get rid of you. Or, so I think we're trying to say this without sounding cringy, but it's developed much more in a family orientated way. Yeah. Rather than here's 50 people, go manage them. Yeah.
And you have the foundation of quite a strong layer of trust. You go into a business, like you say, you don't know who's fobbing you off. You go into you go into an established business with about 50 employees. You don't know how many times that person's go, oh, sorry, a family member was unwell. Yeah. And that's why they're late. You don't really know that. Mm-hmm. But again, people that work here have been here for quite a while. Yeah. We've got new members joining, of course, but like you say, we hired them. We've known them for a majority of their, if not all of their career here at WP. So there is that foundation of trust of if somebody's not feeling well, then you know they're not feeling well. Yeah. And if they are, if you ask them to do a task and they say they're too busy, they're not fobbing you off. They are too busy. Yeah. You've had that time to speak to them about it.
And if we take the personal thing into account, so I was speaking to my brother about this recently. He's currently planning for his wedding. Yep. And he's got a wedding organizer and they're creating the events and stuff. And they didn't reply to a message that he had 2 hours. He said sent 2 hours before, right? And they hadn't really caused any issues. And he spoke to me and he said, should I really raise my concern now? This is, the wedding's only a few months away. I need this to go. It was more than a few hours, but it wasn't that much amount of time. And when we discussed it, we were both having an open chat. He's a great person to speak to. We vary in our personalities a little bit, but overall we align, I think, on most things. And my opinion on this, and this came from the personal Ash, not the work Ash, was there is a point where you need to be a bit ruthless. You need to be ruthless, and you need to lay down the law. But that moment's not now.
Right.
The moment is, at the moment, you need this person on your side. They're going to be organizing your entire wedding. They're going to be organizing everything around it. You need to make sure everything goes your way, and you're on the side with each other.
Yeah.
If they drop the ball, if they're continuously going against what you think, that's where you lay down the law, and that's genuinely you. That's not, this feels like the right thing to do. That's, no, don't cross me. Yeah. This is serious. This means the world to me.
Yeah.
And my fiance, you're going to make this work.
Yeah.
And I said, look, at the end of the day, that's, in my opinion, the best way you're going to get the best out of someone.
Yeah.
And again, that comes to work. Someone continuously turns up late. That is not acceptable, because that means something to me.
Yeah.
Not because, I need to tell you off because it's the right thing to do.
I've had an observation for years, and your example kind of lays this out perfectly. And I just want to get your take on it. I think people confuse fear and respect all too often. And fear is a lot easier to get than respect. So it's like a cheat code to feel respected, to instill fear in somebody. And you're like, yeah, they respect me. And I always found that funny, because I meet people who other people respect. There's a lot of examples in my mind of people I know that somebody will hold them to high regard. Somebody who, like, even, I'll just be bluntly honest, somebody who I want to hold me in high regard.
Yeah.
But I see through it, they're not respected, they're feared.
Nah.
Do you see that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that's where, I think a manager or a leader forgets that empathy, right? That, let's take the lateness example. Someone say someone turns up one time late in 50 weeks of working here. They're one day late, and they're 2 minutes late. Yeah, they're late nonetheless.
Late is late.
But if you go there and you shout at them, or you have an absolute go after they've served you for 50 weeks and they have a genuine reason, or they have a reason, they're going to apologize, most likely, because they want to keep their job. But they're going to think, that was a bit blown out of proportion. Yeah. That was a bit there. Because that human person is still there. That human, even you, not being in that leadership role, you'd look from third party and be like, that's a bit out of order. Whereas if they were late 6-7 times in a row, and they didn't have a legitimate reason, or there was nothing going on, and you had a word with them, there would be a genuine understanding that, I was out of line. Yeah. And I think that's how you get genuine respect, because people see through it.
Yeah, it has to be, like you said, it's don't react like that because of what you saw. If we go back to your brother's example, get it to a point where it means something to you.
Yeah.
And then react on the back of that.
Yeah.
Right? Have that to support you. And then it's authentic. Then it's real. And then you're like, damn, I respect the passion that came with, because it's real. It came from an authentic place.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And don't get me wrong, there probably has to be a bit of time to think about it as well.
Yeah.
Because too much real. This means everything to me can go too far. But I think that's the way. And I love the gut example. You got to trust yourself a bit more. And, there's a million leadership books out there, but I think over time you develop your own management technique.
Just a quick example as well. I had this phase, and I never really spoke to anyone about this. But I did really overthink my friendships, a lot of my friendships and relationships with family members, of upholding this ideal perception of me. Or again, it wasn't their ideal perception. Yep. It's what I thought they wanted to see. And I was always acting in this way that came across as perfect. Yeah. And there was loads of tiny little moments in my life where I was so worried about exposing a crack, of just them seeing that I'm not that person. Mm-hmm. And again, this is more recent than I'm willing to admit, which is like, I'm really okay with them seeing the cracks now. Yeah. Because that gives you the opportunity of, like, something I really like when I hear is, you used to be like that. Now you're not. Like, that's quite rewarding to me to hear something like that. So that gives you that opportunity. So if, again, just saying stuff in real time, you're going to say something that upsets somebody. That gives you the opportunity of, I didn't know that. Here's here's this take on that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, do you remember when you were a bitter racist?
Yeah.
Look at you. No,
Here's the recording.
here's the recording.
Yeah.
Give me money or I release it to the press. No, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
I like that.
That was a really interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
In depth.
I got a skedaddle.
Yes, you have. But
Oh yeah, we didn't do an intro.
yes, we didn't. So, hey there, welcome to episode 6. This was recorded after the podcast, so I'm looking a bit tired, but it was nonetheless an excellent podcast, and I hope you do enjoy.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to subscribe, like, do what you got to do, comment, and enjoy the episode. Thanks.
You'd think after 60 episodes we'd be on this.
We'd be on it,
Yeah.
but I think we just went straight into the convo. It's like,